Today's Tuesday, September 19th, and it is 6:45. Will somebody like to make a motion for the consideration of claims?
Me too. Your Honor, I make motion to pay the amount of $384,074.29. Elon credit cards in the amount of $2,603.91. Manual checks in the amount of $6,567.45. Payroll and liabilities for September 8th through the 15th in the amount of $301,467.89 for a total of $694,713.54.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Is there anything else to come before this committee?
Your Honor, I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, we'll call this meeting adjourned at 6:46.
I call the September 19th, 2023 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Councilmember Bailey has agreed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Larson has agreed to give us the invocation. If all could please rise and take off your hats.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our eternal Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the opportunity to serve the city of Riverton. Father, we would ask that Thou would bless us with understanding and the ability to do the best things we can for the city of Riverton. We would also ask, Father, that Thou would watch over the first responders, our police force, and our national armies and navies that watch over and protect us. Father, we're thankful for all our blessings, especially Thy Son, and we say this, name Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Bailey and Councilman Larson. Would the Administrative Services Director please conduct the roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders. Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Tim Hancock.
I am here. I'd entertain a motion to excuse Councilwoman Borders from tonight's meeting. She assured me via text that this is the last meeting she's going to miss. So we're going to hold her to that.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilman Peranto. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. I declare we have a quorum. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda with the removal of agenda item number 14, Memorandum of Understanding DUI Task Force.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox with the motion, Councilwoman Salisbury with the second. Discussion. We still want to go forward with the DUI Task Force Memorandum of Understanding. We just need to get a little bit more work on it, so that'll be in a future meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Life-saving award. Chief of Police, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight, the Riverton Police Department will be given a special recognition to one of our officers. The Police Department recognizes members who have done exceptional work while serving and protecting the citizens of our community. One of the special awards includes our Life-Saving Medal. The Life-Saving Medal is awarded when a department member performs an act or acts that saves the life of another or preserves that person's life until the arrival of medical personnel. Senior staff who have witnessed or have first-hand knowledge of this act determines and qualifies for such a commendation and submits that report to the City Awards Committee. The committee met and reviewed the facts and made a finding that this member's actions merits this special award. Tonight's recipient is not new to serving and protecting our community. He has been in the emergency medical field for 15 years. He began his career in Pennsylvania, where he worked for an ambulance company. He later moved to Riverton and served on our local ambulance service. He also became a 911 dispatcher, where he was responsible for all our emergency calls, animal control service calls, as well as dispatching for our Riverton Volunteer Fire Department. In 2019, he progressed in his career and became one of our Riverton police officers. The recipient takes his duties to heart and insists in making sure our officers and personnel remain safe. For the past year, there's been an increase in the amount of first responders in the U.S. who have been exposed to the dangerous drug fentanyl. The recipient has taken the lead in training of all our staff, including civilian staff, on the proper use and how to administer Narcan. There have been recent scares with officers and other first responders in Wyoming being exposed to this deadly drug. As a demonstration of how caring our recipient is, all our staff as well as City Hall staff who are in immediate contact with the public will have this life-saving training by the end of the month. The act in which the recipient earned this award occurred on July 1st. Riverton police officers responded to a possible assault. The recipient and a Fremont County deputy searched the area for suspects involved in this assault. While en route, they found someone unrelated to the assault call laying face down along a sidewalk. He went to go check on the patient and determined the 55-year-old man was suffering from a medical emergency. The patient had stopped breathing and did not have a pulse. Our recipient started CPR on the patient and was joined by a Fremont County deputy. An ambulance was summoned and arrived 10 minutes later. The patient was revived due to our officer and the deputy's actions, and the man survived the incident. Our recipient, although wearing a police uniform, will commonly respond to homes in Riverton where people are in medical distress and stabilize the patient while waiting for the ambulance crew. It is this demonstration of a true public servant we are recognizing tonight. This time, I would invite Riverton Officer Brandon Brookover to please step forward. For the work that you've done for our community, the service of everyone here in town, you're awarded the Riverton Police Department Life Saving Medal.
Brandon. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting this presentation be available to recognize one of our employees.
Thank you. That was a very good presentation, and I can say personally also there's some things that were missed out from that. Number one, Officer Brookover is also an accomplished photographer, and appreciate the hard work that he does there, and I would say he's one of the hardest working officers we have on the force. He definitely makes sure that he's there, he's willing to help, he puts in the work, and it kind of is funny that no matter what, he's going to be there, either at a time at EMS or dispatch or police officer. He's willing to step into wherever he can be helpful. And that spirit of service and selfless service is definitely appreciated, Officer Brookover. So thank you for all you do every day for the city of Riverton, and keep up the good work. We appreciate you. And we could have had you do a speech. If you want to come back up, you're welcome to. Okay. Next time. All right, well, we're going to do things a little bit different. We're trying things different because, generally speaking, when we report on the council committee reports and roundtable, we do it to an empty room, which doesn't seem to be very helpful to our citizens. So we are going to start, at least with this meeting, and we'll see how it goes, starting with our council committee reports and roundtable at the beginning of the meeting rather than at the end. This is actually, I think it was Councilwoman Salisbury's idea, I think. So, I mean, it was a good idea. We'll give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we know who to blame. So, if we could we start with Councilwoman Cox, please?
Sure. The Rec Board Committee met earlier this week, or actually last week, sorry, get my dates confused. Pretty much business as usual with that one, but we're also talking about the Brett Watson Memorial that's going to be happening up at the RJFL field, which is now the Brett Watson field, so progress on that is happening, so I'm excited to see it come together. Also, just a reminder for those of you that came in and asked for money, we need your receipts. So we haven't had a lot of receipts turned in. So just a reminder, get those in before the end of the year so we can pay you. I spoke to a concerned citizen last week about people speeding at Ryan Park, especially during soccer practice and games. There's a lot of people down there and a lot of kids. And I'm sure it's mostly parents or probably teenage siblings dropping them off, but we got to make sure we slow down there. We don't want anything to happen. Kyle and I have been working on maybe a solution for that, but just a reminder to the parents to slow down. We want to keep your kids safe and respect the homeowners that surround that park. And then just on a side note, it is homecoming week at high school, and the parade will be on Thursday at 2 o'clock. So if you don't want to get stuck on Main Street or you want to watch, it's 2 o'clock on Thursday. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Bailey?
Thank you. We had a Force Committee meeting that I was actually out of town and wasn't able to attend, but they are in the process of making their list of projects that they want to work on for next year. So if anybody has any input, make sure you get it to the Force Committee. Again, they're looking for different, street and curb and gutter and sidewalk projects around the community. Again, this year they've done Davis Lane and multiple, pavement improvement projects where they go in and overcoat and chip seal and some of those projects. So I'm sure you've seen some of their work around town. Again, this committee deals with we get the 1 cent of the sales tax, and between all the communities in the county, they split that. And Riverton gets about $2 to $2.5 million, depending on the sales tax revenues every year. And that, if we didn't have that money, the city of Riverton really does not have much of a budget to improve streets. And so that's a very important work that committee does. And so if you have an area that you think needs improved, make sure you get a hold of the Force Committee. I also attended the airport board meeting. I'll let Dean talk about that a little more. Everything's looking very good on the airport side. So, and that's all I have for this last couple weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Councilman Peranto?
Your Honor, I unfortunately was at work and missed the rec board meeting, so thank you, Lindsay, for being there and reporting on that. We did have an airport board meeting last Friday. Kind of the good news is that we're over 10,000 passenger enplanements so far, and we're really looking like we're on track for 15,000, and I don't know if city staff will report on that a little bit more, so I don't want to take that thunder, but we are looking really good there. We have miscellaneous projects getting wrapped up at the airport, some seal coating and paint markings, things of that nature. Also beginning work on the master plan for the terminal assessment, and there's some additional funds that are available for that, which is really important because if our terminal is too small, it won't accommodate the 75 passenger plane or larger than 50 passenger planes that we can accommodate now. So in order to accommodate those larger aircraft, we need to expand our terminal. So it looks like there might be some funds that may help us accommodate that. Also, the weekend of the 9th of September, we had I'd like to say the first semi-annual fly-in, but we've had fly-ins before. They were just about 13 or so years ago. It was really pretty well attended. Kind of some off-the-cuff head counts are 500-ish people, plus or minus. The food trucks did really well. A lot of pancakes were served for breakfast. We had a North American T6 Texan come in from Idaho. He did some flybys. We had a group of 3 ultralights out of Lander. They did a flower drop and some spot landing, which was pretty neat. And we had a lot of cool cars from our community, and it's just amazing to see the work that goes into the cars that people bring up to these car shows. It's just a tremendous amount of time. Most of them are really cool. I'd also like to extend a thank you to our city staff. I mean, we just really had an A-team up there working. We had a bunch of students from the Job Corps that came and presented, and of course we had Civil Air Patrol there as well. And just a great group of volunteers that came up and moved chairs and tables and helped marshal people in airplanes and parking, and just there's a lot of effort that went into that, and it's important that we recognize that. So next year's fly-in will be in Lander, and we'll alternate every other year with Lander. So that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Larson.
I attended the solid waste meeting yesterday, and upcoming bids will be out for Sandral waste, because that's where all of the solid waste will be going by 2028, when Lander shuts down. We are about 20% complete on the Lander facility, which we're putting in when they put that into the graveyard. And the new building at Du Bois is 98% complete. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Salisbury.
I've had a couple meetings with the chamber, and we also had some meetings to interview for our executive director, so that's in the process. Talking at our last couple chamber meetings, part of the thing is I don't know if people realize all the stuff that the chamber's involved in. They also helped with the fly-in. I think they were responsible for the kitty corner, you might say, so that's a big job. And then we offer a lunch and learn once a month. The next one is Friday, October 6th, and it's how to have tough conversations at the Wind River Heritage Center. We'll be having a first responders breakfast that Julie and Kim Hummel and Terry Hurd and others, James Bunker, they're taking some donations for that, but that's on October 28th that they'll be providing. Itchabon will be providing dinner, Pepsi will be doing drinks, Bunks will do dessert, and so it's just to recognize all our first responders. They're also having a community Thanksgiving this year. Instead of all the other groups doing everything here and there, they've all gotten together. It'll be at one spot down at the fairgrounds. And so they're all coming together because sometimes food gets wasted or people don't know. So they're asking for people you can either help or eat. And so it'll be a community Thanksgiving this year. And our Trails Committee will be presenting later on in today's agenda. They've been working really hard to put together, and I've identified some trails that need some work. They have some phases on that, so you'll hear more from them later on today. And the only other thing I heard about changing this to the first of the agenda is someone said do the public comments last, so people that just want to get something approved don't have to stay. And I said, we don't feel sorry for anybody that needs to stay. You can all stay and listen. So.
Thank you, Councilwoman Salisbury. All right, and I guess just a quick note on the community Thanksgiving. The plan is to have Thanksgiving served there at the fairgrounds, but also, same as they've done in the past, to be able to bring it out to individuals. Is that correct?
Correct. And it'll be like 11 to 3-ish that day, but they'll also be doing deliveries.
Because I think last year there was the Vets Thanksgiving, and then they didn't have a lot of people show up, so they were wanting to do both.
I think they said the Soldiers House, Eagles Hope, Veterans, Key Club, Rotary, senior living places they'll be taking. So it's just everybody's come
Right.
together to do it. But the-
Is there a possibility to donate food to them?
Yes.
Yes.
You can volunteer to help, cook, donate food, whatever.
I want to donate, I don't want to cook.
I think when we get closer to time,
There'll be signups for that.
there'll be signups and
Okay.
everything.
Thank
They usually have certain things they're looking for, so. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
That's
Thank you. Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a few things to update the council on, and community members as well. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to start out as we are dealing with weeds and also code enforcement items throughout the community, that we explain the code enforcement process and also the due process that we provide our community members. Mr. Miller with our Community Development Department does spearhead any code enforcement issues, and we encourage folks to contact his department so that we can be a good partner with our community. Right now, there are 114 open cases that they're working on where violations have been reported by neighbors or observed by city staff, and they are at varying stages of this process. Typically, when code enforcement items are observed by community members and reported to the city or observed by city staff members, the first step is to document the violation. So we send a staff member out to take photos and document the issue. We then send a notice of violation to the property owner to make them aware of the code enforcement violation. They then have 10 days to mitigate the issue. We have to give people a chance. After 10 days, we then send staff out to follow up on the complaint. If the violation has been mitigated, the case is closed and it doesn't move forward. If the violation has not been mitigated, then a citation is issued to the property owner. And we do that in conjunction with the Riverton Police Department. I do want to add that we as city staff do our best to work with property owners and businesses and community members so that if a violation is issued and someone is still trying to mitigate the issue, we do try and use common sense and work with them. Otherwise, the violation does go to our municipal court and is handled by our municipal appointed judge. So that's the process that we follow when those complaints do come in. And I just want to, again, educate the community on the process and then inform that we do have that many open cases right now that we are working on. The other thing that's coming out of the Community Development Department is, this is an interesting statistic, but we have currently 700 building permits for re-roofing. A lot of that has to do with hail damage. To put that into perspective, that is 25%, give or take, of the residential properties in town. Naturally, to work through 700 building permits for that, some of this work will be completed this fall, some of it will be completed in the spring. But that's something that keeps our building department busy as they work with contractors and residents as they work to improve their properties. I made a list of all my updates, and there's 13. Is that okay, Mayor?
It's fine.
Okay.
Are we through two or?
We're through 2.
Okay, great. Do they get progressively shorter?
They can.
Okay.
They can.
I think we need to start going in that order. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Mr. Booker.
Very good, Your Honor. I do want to inform the community and also remind the council that our police department has been working with the company Ring to provide additional support when there are issues in neighborhoods, and community members who participate or have assets associated with that company can opt into a program to provide footage to our police department to then provide, I think, better opportunity to work with community members to create a safe environment in neighborhoods. So that notice was sent out via Ring. It's also been on our Facebook page, but that's an opportunity, and it's completely voluntary. So unless a property owner or resident opts in, the police department will not have access to their personal information or their program. There's been a lot of communication about traffic and safety, and I appreciate Councilwoman Cox bringing that up as it relates to Ryan Park. Our senior staff team had a discussion. We hope to propose a solution to soccer group and then also work with Councilwoman Cox on some solutions to make that area safer when we have kids and games and practices going at Ryan Park. In that same area, there's been some concern reported about people disregarding a stop sign and traveling through that stop sign. Our Public Works Department has ordered 2 flashing stop signs for the intersection of Spire and Monroe. They will be located on the east and west side of that intersection. The department also put stop bars down to help make that intersection more visible, but we think those flashing stop signs will serve to provide more safe observation in that neighborhood. A reminder, the funding, we are receiving and accepting applications for funding for the EDGE program. One has been received to date. So community members and businesses that are interested in submitting a proposal for review, the EDGE committee will be receiving those. I'll skip this one.
Oh.
To keep things moving.
No, but then people are going to lose track of how many.
All right, I'm not skipping it. We just went through a major project update. A 20-ton HVAC unit was replaced on the ceiling of City Hall, and a lot of credit to our building maintenance team for that. And we are working to procure grants. Was that the right number?
It's a 50-ton.
50.
Sorry.
Multiply by 2 and then add some.
He was kind of signaling behind you there, trying to, he's got your back.
It blows my mind that something that heavy is on our roof. 50 tons. So I appreciate that, and that's a value to our community and an improvement because that HVAC unit was original to the building. We do have Planning Commission scheduled this Thursday, and the commission will hear about a home occupation permit and also an appeal. That starts at 5:30. There is also this week a legislative meeting from the Riverton State Office Building Task Force that will be at CWC in the Intertribal Center this Friday at 10 o'clock. There's also a Judiciary Committee meeting next Tuesday in Casper. And I bring this up because they will be considering the Delta 8 question that you as a council explored several months ago. So if you have interest in that or wish to provide testimony, you can attend that meeting, or you can write the members of the Judiciary Committee. But again, that will be next Tuesday. There's also a community project that several in the audience are working on with the Visitor Council, the Riverton Chamber and Visitor Center for wayfinding signs to be placed around town. That meeting to kick off that project will be this Friday. We received notice today that the State Land and Investment Board will be hearing our application for ARPA dollars for local government improvements. As a reminder, we've received 2 grants through the ARPA program already, and we're seeking our third, and that will be HVAC system updates to complete what we're doing at City Hall and also at the airport. That meeting was announced today, and it will be November 2nd, and we plan to attend that to ensure that we represent our community in a strong manner. And I'd like to just make note that city staff is constantly looking for grants and working hard on that. Recently, Officer Don Netha-Kamara has been seeking grants for the police department. Our lead dispatcher, Sarah Nelson, is working hard on that as well, and so is our chief. And even our public works staff today was referencing a community development block grant that they're seeking $3 million for, that we'll have a special meeting next week to consider. But I do commend our staff across the organization for seeking grant funds to improve our community. An email was sent to council about the requirement to participate in public officer training as required by state statute. There will be training offered October 24th, and I encourage you, if you have not participated in that, to sign up. It is an all-day training, but it will be virtual, and we hope to look for other training opportunities if that doesn't meet your needs, but it is a requirement of statute that you participate in that training.
Did you say November 24th, or is that October 24th?
October 24th.
Okay.
Will we get notification of that in email where we sign up? Or last time they signed it up and it was, I thought I had signed up for it, but it was over in Casper.
You could get it on your email because I did it virtually from the link.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you do need to sign up for it if you're going to be doing it virtually, because
We only have certain seats.
they only have so many seats for it, and it's statewide. So,
Is it the same training?
yes.
Yeah, so you make sure if you do that, you have to check in, that they'll ask you a question just randomly, and you have to go in the chat or it doesn't count for you.
So you can't bug out.
No, you have to pay attention, Kyle.
So that you'll be able to register that via the email that I sent you. And it is limited, so if it does work for your schedule, I encourage you to sign up earlier than later. As a reminder, I'll be attending the Wyoming Airport Coalition Board Meeting and Conference next Tuesday through Friday, but you will be in wonderful hands with staff to support you, and I'll be available remotely. Finally, I do want to just thank our community for the many positive things that they're doing. I'll embarrass Julie Buller right now because I know she's in the audience, but I have a chance to drive by her frequently each week, and so many of you do because she's so active. But it's not uncommon for her to have a trash bag in her hand while she's exercising, cleaning up trash along the trails. And she's not the only one. There are several members of the community that actively serve and make our area better. We had a church youth group clean up a bunch of kosher weed on different properties last Wednesday. So I would like to say thank you to the many that positively serve our community and make a difference, and embarrass Julie a little bit and say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butterfield. And thank you, Ms. Buller. And we'll hear from her later. So it's a good meeting for her to be here today. All right, I have a couple of things. I had the opportunity to address the Seroptimist group. If you don't know what Seroptimists are, that's a women's group that was founded in, I think, the 60s or 70s, meant to be a response to, at the time, Rotary wasn't allowing women in, so it was meant to be a women's service group. We have a very active branch here in Riverton, and they actually had their district meeting here at the Holiday Inn. It was a good opportunity to speak to them. I went there, I spoke, and I left. I'm sure they had a good meeting, but had a lot of people here, a lot of people that were attending remotely, but we did have people from all over the place. The governor and co-governor, which I made the comment that a governor and co-governor probably doesn't work as well in a men's organization, but works in a women's organization. So they had, and actually they had co-governors. So no governor, co-governor, it's just co-governors. Anyway, we had a lot of people here for that. It was a good opportunity to speak to them. We had an FCAG, Fremont County Association of Governments meeting, discussed a little bit about a need that we have due to the upcoming resignation of our executive director for FCAG to hire somebody. And so we are looking for a replacement for FCAG executive director. Also, right now, that position encompasses not just the director for FCAG, but also the WRTA, the Wind River Transit Authority. Both of those positions are available for the right person. Somebody could fill both of them, and that's how it currently is now. But I would encourage you to look at Indeed, governmentjobs.com. It's a listed job that's out there. It's also on Facebook. I really enjoyed Wings and Wheels. That was a lot of fun. Yep. I think that our staff did so well. It was a very welcoming, fun atmosphere. The chamber table was well done. My kids did some drawing and enjoyed it, and my wife did some drawing and enjoyed it. Just a good time. And so I really appreciate all the work that went into that from city staff or from other members in the community. I also got a chance, I think this is since the last regular meeting, to go to Paws and Pearls. Normally I'd be asking Carla, but she's not here tonight. Got a chance to go to Paws and Pearls. They did well. It was a fun evening and go to that. Had an interesting opportunity to go to the Wyoming Rescue Mission in Casper last weekend. We've had a group that's been getting together and talking about the needs in terms of homelessness in the community, and had an opportunity to go to the homeless shelter in Casper, see how they do things. Had some really good ideas that they brought up and different ways that we can address it. Very good opportunity. They have a very good program that they run there. One of the things I appreciated the most about what they were talking about is the need for not just providing a handout and not giving people structure or ways that they can change or improve their lives. That's their biggest focus, is trying to make sure that this isn't just some temporary thing you're going to take advantage of. That's probably the wrong word for it, but that you're going to be using without trying to figure things out and get in a better place financially. So it was a good opportunity to go there. And I guess to talk about the chamber again, chamber just recently did a lot of work to install some bike racks. So that's very much appreciated as you go around town. You will notice those, a lot of hard work in that, and definitely appreciate the work that they've been putting into that. And again, we'll hear from them later on the trails. So a lot of discussion about the chamber today. But that's it that I have to report. And so then I guess we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience, if you'd like to speak about a subject that's already on the agenda, please feel free to come up during that time. But if you want to speak to something that's not on the agenda right now, please come up to the microphone, tell us your name. I'd ask you to keep your comments to about 5 minutes for individuals, 10 minutes for an organization. If you're a part of an organization, try to split it up between all the members of your group to take up 10 minutes. But please feel free, come up, tell us your name, tell us the organization you're with, and we'd like to hear from you. Is there anyone that wants to speak?
Rochambeau.
Girls, you're both beautiful.
Greetings, council. I'm Julie Buller, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm here representing the chamber. And we just wanted to, James couldn't make it tonight, he's our new president, but it's been a long time since we've come and reported to you guys, and so we wanted to come report. We have been very, very busy trying to manage a museum that we somewhat inherited, Wind River Heritage Center, in April. And we don't have an executive director, and we have 4 new board members. But we are making a lot of progress, and behind the scenes, we're doing tons of stuff, and we're not getting ourselves out there and getting these things known. And so what I just wanted to do today was introduce, even though we don't have them all here, just let you guys know that we do have a full board, and we've got James Bunker with Bunk's Barbecue as our president. I'm the vice president. Our secretary is Devin Kellerhall. She's with Amy Snyder Signature Properties. She's new in town, but if you haven't met Devin, she's dynamic. She's involved with tons of things around the community. And she doesn't say, well, I shouldn't say this. She doesn't say no, but we get her first. So, and then our treasurer is Victor Allen, and he's with WYOMING Community Bank. And Terry Hurd, who is out here. Terry, please stand. Terry Hurd is with Rocky Mountain Power. And Terry has been very active since he came on board in July. The bicycle racks that were spoken about, he helped my husband install those. My husband and him were down at the Heritage Center preparing the sign down there. And Terry's also helping with the first responders, putting that together. So Terry has been very involved with the chamber already. Actually, he was doing a bunch of that before he even was officially brought onto the board. So he had a connection with my husband, so I figured I could get Ray to help if his first responder, because Terry's a first responder, he's on the fire department, he's on the, what else, search and rescue, so he's a huge volunteer for our community. Let's see, Terry Hurd, and we've got Morgan Alley, she is with Fremont Local, Kelly Albright with Albright Becker CPAs, and Kathy Rosenthal, which you guys all met 2 weeks ago. She gave the presentation for the gutters. Kathy has been very active as well, doing the gutters, the fly-in, the trails project, the list goes on and on. So we have some very active board members, you guys, we're excited. Michelle Luoma with CES, Janet Winslow with Golden Buffalo and Bells and Bows. And so that's our board. And so also, you guys, we've trying to change the structure of the chamber. We're not just board members. We actually have roles in each of these, and I'm sorry, I forgot to add, our liaison, Christy, has been very active too. Sorry, Christy. Christy's been very active with the chamber too, in all of our meetings and everything that we've been doing and supporting us. But all of our chamber positions actually have a role. We've got myself, I am in charge of tourism, and I also serve on Wind River Visitors Council. We've got Terry Hurd, he's our community and events. He doesn't really know everything that entails yet, but he will soon. But obviously, he's already been very involved. Our food and ag is Morgan Alley. Our membership is Kelly. And then our trails and beautification is Kathy, that goes right in line with everything she's been doing. And Janet Winslow is our economic development. And then Michelle Luoma is youth and mentor. So each of our board members have a role, and we plan on filling these. We have been trying to fill these and make a difference throughout our community with each of these that we've been doing. And then I just wanted to let you know, as Christy mentioned, we have been doing interviews, and we hope to have a new executive director soon, even sooner than we thought, because we just got an email before I walked out the door that our admin is taking a week off. That means, guess what? The board gets to answer the phones. So we'll be taking those calls. We won't let that go unmanned. But anyhow, we're excited, and we'll hopefully have a new director pretty soon. And then there was some mention about the first responders on October 28th. Christy talked about that a little bit. We would also like to please invite you to come at 2 o'clock in the afternoon down to the Fremont Center. We're going to start setting up the event for the first responders. This is a free dinner for them, and we want to wait on them, hand them foot, and have this all set up for them. So if you can come down and help us with setup and clean up afterwards, we would really appreciate it. or if there's any groups or organizations that you're associated with that are interested in helping, please let them reach out to us, okay? The bicycle racks, as I think it was Tim that alluded to those that were installed, want to make sure I give full credit to his staff that helped us. Dan met with us a couple different times and helped us get the locations figured out for those, and then my husband and Terry installed them on the weekend, so thank you, Terry and Ray. The fly-in you was mentioned, Kathy and Devin were heavily involved in that from the chamber. The Rendezvous Beef Roundup, James was there 200% of the time working with that and helping that be a success. We also did the first annual soapbox derby with the Rendezvous this July, and we kind of were behind the 8 ball getting the information out there because we didn't get our permit from the state as quick as we wanted to for various reasons, change in director. But anyhow, it was, people had a great time with it, and we do plan on doing that on a regular basis. So we did that, and then of course you're going to hear about the Trails Project. We've been working on that since, April, May, somewhere in there. So that wasn't just a, hey, let's just throw this together. We've been working on it, lots of hours. And then Kyle mentioned the wayfinding project. The chamber is involved with that. And I was going to invite you to the Wyoming State Shooting Complex because Joel Highsmith said you get as many people as you can. Pack that room. So next Wednesday, see you all at 8:30 at CWC. So thank you, the city, for the support that they've given us, and we look forward to continuing to move the city forward in positive and, exciting ways. So, thank you.
Thank you.
She is full of electricity.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where to start. I come here today, truth be told, with a heavy heart. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for supporting MMIP. The marches that we've been having for the past couple years. And it means a lot to me. For what has happened to my family. And I wanted to thank personally Mr. Mayor Hancock for contributing. On September 2nd, we had MMIP awareness dance at our oldest powwow at Northern Arapahoe, powwow in Arapahoe, Wyoming, by Arapahoe School. And it was huge, and it was very healing. Soliciting for those funds of making that difference for this epidemic that's occurring. And I don't know quite how to say this, but what's happening on the Wind River is bleeding into the cities. That's a fact. Lander, Riverton. What's happening in Lander and Riverton is bleeding into Wind River. Those are facts. And I'm trying with all my heart, some way, somehow, to get on the pro and preventative side of helping others, of turning it around of what has happened to my family. It's hard. It's not easy. The struggle is real. And with the Wind River MMIP.org, we're working together, trying hard to make that difference. I've been very, very busy making the time. And for example, last month I attended the NIAC meetings, Not Invisible Act Commission. And they're really huge, it was huge in the state of Montana. And through that commission came about through Deb Holland. So I testified, gave testimony about my family, about my daughters, Jocelyn Watt, Jade Wagon, to make that difference, to make that impact here. And I believe good is coming, some way, somehow. And what I can share with you today is I got a call last week, and it sounds and appears we will be having an MMIU unit here, Missing Murdered Indigenous Unit. It's a need. Based on the statistics out of the state of Wyoming, I believe the number is 250 plus of those voices, of those loved ones to be heard. And at the NIAC meeting, visiting huge leaders, directors of justice departments, this, that, all the titles. I had one question. Where are we failing? Where are we failing? How do you explain there's only 4 people here from the Wind River when I have a book with data, statistics, and I don't like to use that word because they're loved ones. They have a name. They have a story. Why isn't 250 plus here testifying? And the gentleman said, "You're right. We got our work cut out." And it's really hard. And I asked the Creator, help me, because it's now or never. I had to say everything of what my family's been through, the struggle, the hurt, and the hardship as a mom that I have to endure, to make sure that my other daughters are safe. As a mom, in Native ways we're sacred. We give life. When I lost 2 of my daughters, part of me went with them. But again, I can't let the tears blind me. My other 3 need me. My grandchildren need me. And I need them. So, I sincerely thank you all for supporting me and the MMIP movement throughout this journey. And I hope that we get stronger and better to make it safe again for others. That's how the only solution I could come up with is to keep standing up, speaking out, sharing my daughter's stories, getting justice for my daughters, and other voices to be heard. So trying to make it, again, preventative, proactive. So with my deepest sincerity, I thank you, Mayor Hancock. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment to watch all the male dancers come out, warriors, It was beautiful, all the regalia. We were overwhelmed because we didn't know how many would dance, but they were dancing for them. The women that came out, the little ones, touched my heart. And I feel obligated to make it better and safer for future generations. That's why I stand here today. On another note, my people honored Chief Hurtado to extend that olive branch. We do support Chief Hurtado. Thank you. My Uncle Chico had many horses. I had him speak for me, traditionally, to give him tobacco, to honor him the best way I could. And he explained to us, back in the day, we would have honored Chief Hurtado with the buffalo robe. And the best way we could is wrap him in a star quilt. It was a unique moment, and I was really grateful of meeting his beautiful wife, of letting us know what his favorite color is, because it's supposed to be unique in his. So, and his son brought joy to me to watch him dance and stand by his father. It was very memorable. But for my uncle to share those words, his work is cut out for him. It's not an easy job, by far. But to have my people dance behind him, honor him in our songs, it was a very momentous day, especially with the 75th anniversary. It's a day to remember. So I just come here humbly to say thank you, and thank you all. And I don't know if it's appropriate, but I was looking at the minutes when it stated that you may have some extra money of $10,000 from the senior citizens, and I don't know, but I'm just going to ask, and we could talk later. But I wanted to bring up several meetings ago the idea of the city helping us purchase red flags, and they can remain at the city. But the day that we have the march, May 5th, can those flags be flown to bring awareness? Just like we have the red, white, and blue flag. And I honor vets. My dad's a vet. And just like my dad taught me, never be afraid to stand up or speak out. And always remember, the red, white, and blue don't run and hide. So, I stand here to honor my parents as well, my family, and my tribe. So I thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and to keep moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Kathy Klein. I live in Riverton. And I, too, would like to say thank you. I am a transplant, and I am now on my 10th year in Riverton, and really, really happy to be here. I would just like to say publicly how incredible and wonderful it is that this is a community that has the kind of community citizen engagement that we do have for the betterment of Riverton. I'm a big proponent of accountability, but I'm also a big proponent of civic engagement and gratitude. So thank you, thank you, thank you to the Chamber board members and everything you're doing, all of the various organizations around town who work in partnership with the city to make really good things happen for us. I really appreciate them. I totally appreciate our police department, and I'm so sorry the officer has gone now. His incredible accomplishment and everything that the police have been doing. In a meeting I was in earlier today, a lot of business people were talking about how improved things are downtown and how much they appreciate that. So thank you to you. Thank you to the city staff who work hard for us every single day. You guys do a great job. Thank you to the city council. I know you do way more than show up to meetings on Tuesday, like doing all-day trainings and the research for meetings and the committees, all the things you guys do. It's just a huge investment of time, and you do it for us. All of these people are doing this with no agenda other than to make Riverton a better place, and that we all love Riverton. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Well, you're doing just fine. I think everybody can hear all right, so don't sweat it too much. What item are you on the agenda that you're wanting to be here for? Okay. Well, we're going to get there pretty quick. And your daughter can come sit up here if she wants to, up to her. She probably likes the attention back there better. All right. Okay. Would the Administrative Services Director please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, September 5th, 2023, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, September 12th, 2023, council work session. Approval of the minutes, September 19th, 2023, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the municipal court report for the month of August 2023. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations, September 19th, 2023.
Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor, this evening, the Finance Committee met at 6:45, and the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $384,074.29, the Elon credit card in the amount of $2,603.91, a manual check in the amount of $6,567.45, and the payroll and liabilities for September 8th through 15th in the amount of $301,467.89, for a total of $694,713.54 was approved.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on that from the Finance Committee. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
One more thing, Your Honor.
Oh, yes,
I
sir.
also need to abstain from any warrants paid to Traveling Computers and WYOMING.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilman Bailey. Any discussion or amendments?
Your Honor, I would abstain from the Bailey Enterprises line item on the Finance Committee report also.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right. Next, Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Grant Presentation. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor and Council. Tonight before you, we have a group of great citizens. It's a Riverton Trails Group. They put a lot of work in to developing a plan for, it's in conjunction with the Riverton Master Plan from 2019, updating and improving trails around the city of Riverton. I'm not sure. I think Kathy gets the honor of doing the presentation tonight, so once again, I'll introduce Kathy Rosendahl.
Always good to hear from Kathy Rosenthal.
Yeah, hi again. We're going to support Kathy, just so you know.
Go to sleep, did it?
So here, who's all here to support you, Kathy? You want to introduce?
So, Mayor, Council, again, good evening. Thanks again for letting us present. Again, I'm Kathy Rosenthal. I'm representing the Trails Committee tonight, and my position is, again, as Julia alluded to earlier, I'm the Trails and Beautification Committee Chair for the Chamber of Commerce. And tonight,
Can you come a little bit closer to the mic? We
Sorry.
don't have that many people that watch online, but they do.
got it, I apologize. Yeah, so tonight, from the Trails Committee, we have Randy Lehman and Mike Kuziak with Wyoming Pathways, Julie Buller with the Chamber, Shannon Watts, and Julie Watts.
Thank you for being here and for your hard work on this. From the time that this first started getting talked about a couple of months ago, this is certainly a lot of work you've put into it, so thank you.
Yeah, I apologize for, Jim Gores is also on the committee here
Oh, yes.
tonight as well.
Thank you for being here too, Jim.
So, thank you, Brian. So I wanted to just run through some slides to present a little bit of the background on why we are here tonight. Just as a general background, in 2022, the Wyoming Office of Outdoor Recreation announced a grant program for funding of public outdoor recreation projects with ARPA funds. The ask across the state was over $71 million, which surpassed the available funds of $51 million. So about 60% of those funds were all for trail-related projects. In another round, round 2 of the Wyoming Outdoor Rec grant will be released here hopefully soon. And it's more focused on projects for improvements, repair and improvements to existing infrastructure, and that the infrastructure in questions, especially since COVID-19. And Fremont County is one of 2 counties whose communities qualify as opportunity zones. And the Wyoming Riverton Chamber and Visitor Center and IDEA Inc. submitted a pre-application for the last round in 2022, which would be used for more of the Rails to Trails and the Riverwalk. And unfortunately, the Chamber's first application didn't move forward. However, in the spring of this 2023, the Chamber, through the Wyoming Visitors Council, became aware that the second round would be soon available for around $12 million. With an emphasis on repairs and improvements to existing infrastructure, the Chamber and Visitor Center initiated various meetings with community leaders, partners, and interested groups to discuss ideas about the state of the trail system in and around Riverton and ideas of how to maintain and enhance our current trail system. And really, this should be a huge credit to Julie Buller as she kind of initiated this. She came forward to the Chamber and said, "This is coming. We need to get some people together." And Julie really, as she's so good at, got people together and started this project. But we also wanted to be in line and with the 2019 City of Riverton's master plan. The trails were outlined specific in the transportation and recreation sections. So again, we wanted to build on what was recommended in that 2019 master plan, and along with some of the ideas that had been developed through this group, and make sure that we were aligning with what had been brought forward at that time. And this map, this great map, was part of that 2019 City of Riverton master plan of the current trail system and maybe some new trails. So we definitely utilize this map to start kind of planning from. So from these kind of initial meetings that Julie and the Chamber had kind of started and initiated, a core group was developed and started meeting every few weeks to initiate a path forward and gather information about the current trail system. And it was primarily emerging of the Riverton Trails Committee that has done a lot of work over the years, Jim Gores and Shannon Watts and Julie Watts and Randy Lehman, with the Chamber and Julie, Devin, and myself. And then with Wyoming Pathways, we really got a good group started to get some of the ideas rolling. And along the way, we had meetings with lots of other members, community leaders. And thanks again to Brian and Mia for meeting with us, and Joel Highsmith, also County Commissioner Ron Fabricius. So Shannon Watts developed a map from the master plan with more details of the condition of the current trail system
And we kind of took this and this past summer, members of the Trails Committee biked and walked all of the trails around Riverton. And with prior information from the Trails Committee, coupled with new information, the committee was able to develop 5 priority areas with significant maintenance needs. Priority area number 1 that we kind of came up with was Sunset to College. And main reason being it's a very public trails system. It's around schools. It's a very residential hospital, goes to the college. So a very key trail system to our community. And it's hard for strollers. It's hard for, walkers, and many cracks and holes that need to be sealed. So that was kind of what rose this one in our group to number 1. And just again, a lot of you are probably familiar with, this is up by the college, and just kind of thinking of some areas and seeing areas that could use some maintenance. Priority area 2 was Northwest 8th Bike Path, and it's needs probably a pretty extensive resurface of the trail. And the majority of it, the trail is within the county, as you guys are aware. It's a good connecting trail that could be expanded to Webwood or Country Acres, and there is a lot of extensive overgrown vegetation, broken railings, bench replacement. Our group did present to the county commissioners a few weeks ago, and they are in support of helping maintain and provide some match and assistance with this portion of the path. So they're, just kind of waiting to see what's next, what's needed from us to move forward. And again, a few more pictures of what North 8th looks like at the moment. Priority area 3 was the Riverview Bike Path. There's some large holes in some areas of the path, cracks needing sealed, weeds and grass prevalent. The goat heads, if some of you have biked, Kyle mentioned, poor connections to Hill Street and Major Avenue. So just some more maintenance needs there. Priority area 4 was the Rails to Trails path. The majority of it is relatively in great shape, but there are various cracks in places that need filled, weeds and repair, and some new signage needed, and maybe even some new lighting if down the road. Priority area 5 was the Riverwalk Trail. It is in good condition, some cracks needing filled. Signage to the path would be great. We have a great path down there, and coming in and out of town, we don't really even know where it's at or how to get there. So again, down the road, an expansion of that trail system would be fantastic, and some additional vegetation with trees, shrubs to beautify the path. One key item that we had talked about, besides just even maintenance, repair, is signage. A lot of the trail system doesn't have signs, and those that do are kind of getting run down and could use repair. These pictures on the right are the trail system in Buffalo. They have a great trail system map, some maps along the trail where, they're itemized of like how far it is from point A to point B and from point B to point C, and very clearly outlined of where you are in the trail system. And this would be great for not alone just navigation, but safety too. So we thought, it'd be great if we could get some signage to help us on this for our trails. We did identify around 40 locations that could use signage, and also identified that striping and share the road signs are also needed in various locations. So we always, putting together a budget is always okay, how much is this going to cost? Like, all these things are great. We need to do this, but it costs money, a lot of money. And we, Randy Lehman, reached out to a contractor just for the Sunset and North 8th West sections. And based on that proposed budget that had been given for North 8th Street Trail and the Sunset College Trail system, it'd be around $1 million. So we kind of estimated that priority areas 3 through 5 would also be close to around another $1 million to $1.5 million for a total ask of $2.5 million as part of this grant. From our understanding, there is a 10% match requirement with the grant. And, so that means we'd need to provide about a $250,000 in kind, or in match, in kind and cash. With support from the county commissioners for the repair on North 8th West, in-kind support from the Trails Group, Rotary, and Wyoming Pathways, we should meet this match. We've already come up with about $6,000 in-kind match. So, and that doesn't even include all the work from the Wyoming Pathways employees. So there's even more than that to already contribute. We've just been working on this the last several months. So that's one way we're trying to achieve some match. The sponsor, again, Wyoming Pathways will write and apply for the Round 2 grant for this project and will administer the grant for the project. And we're very grateful and very thankful for Wyoming Pathways and, coming into this conversation. Pathways is committed to paying a community-based liaison for the length of the project. But we would love to have the City of Riverton support. We need and we need your support. Really, without it, there isn't any point of us moving forward with it. We would like to help fulfill and move some of the tasks forward from the master plan, and would like to work together on that. It's your grant too. we want it to fulfill the master plan too, and what your vision was. And we'd also love your input. What are we not putting in yet that you would like to see? How can we move things forward together? So we want to maintain our trail system to the best it can be for our community, as well as other people to know about our trail system, that it come through our community, that they use our trail system. And Wyoming Pathways, I think, has some good input on that too as well. Some letters of support and in-kind support that we have received and continue to seek is the list here. We do have some of those great supporters in the audience today: CWC, the Fire Department, Community Entry Services, Wind River Visitors Council, Chamber, Wind River Development Fund. So IDEA Inc. We have support for this from the community, and just would love to see this kind of move forward. We do, without seeing the grant yet, this is all in development. So, a lot about budget, a lot of, money and the funding, and we're still very much in the development of that and what it would look like. But this is the gist of where we are right now, and again, would love your support. So with that, if there's any questions, we'd love to help answer those, and I'll bring up Randy and Mike if they would like to share some insight too, if that would be okay, Council and Mayor.
Oh, I thought they were answering the questions. No.
Well, that too.
Do we have any questions, I guess, before we go any further? Anything you have to add, please feel free.
The Sunset Edition, we're looking at putting asphalt material down and then putting a 2-inch overlay. And on the 8th Street Edition, we're looking at putting a 3-inch overlay, and that the city's part is going to need all new road base put down, about 4 inches of road base put down first, then 3 inches of overlay. And then we want to put a lot more signs down, stop signs and information signs, stuff like that.
So what exactly kind of support are you asking from the city? Have you,
Right now, we need a
financial,
letter of support that we can put the grant in,
Okay.
put the bid in.
So just,
Yeah, we need your support just so we can apply for a grant and see if we're even in the money for it,
And we're still a little bit early for that, aren't we? I mean, they haven't even,
Right.
This is so funny that Julie in your group has been jumping on this from the get-go, and nothing has even been announced yet, and we're just sitting here waiting. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I agree. I think from the city perspective, how do we feel about would you like something individually from each council person, or would you want something from the council?
Just the council as a whole.
Okay.
Your Honor, can we ask City Administrator your thoughts on this? Some background from you.
Yes, Your Honor, Councilwoman, I'd be happy to provide some information, and our Public Works Director, Brian Eggleston, has been a good liaison to this group, and I think the first thing we should say is thank you. And it's fair to recognize that a lot of the improvements they're proposing are for city assets, and so, again, much appreciation for the work on that. As far as city staff's perspective, I don't think there's any issue in the city supporting their application. I did make a call and spoke with Patrick Harrington with Wyoming Outdoor Recreation, who helps administer this program, and I know that this group has been in touch with him as well. And he basically confirmed that they won't open up this round of funds until they award their previous round of funds. Both rounds of funds come from the American Rescue Plan Act, have to be tied back to COVID. The first round of applications was, if I remember correctly, $20 million, and they received $71 million in requests. So as they've filtered those and as they're working through that and what would be eligible for ARPA, hopefully they can make some awards soon, and then my understanding is they'll open it up directly. Mr. Harrington also communicated that it is valuable to have letters of support from the municipal entities or resolutions of support. So you as a council could decide the best way to handle that, whether it's a simple letter or if via resolution you express your support for the grant application. As with any grant, this funding entity would probably want to see the budget and where the funds are coming from to match the request. And I think we as a city can work with this group as they hone things down and then come back to you to determine how much the city should contribute. And I think that we should contribute to a certain level because, again, these are city assets that they're working to improve for our community. To what level, we need to have further conversation to know.
And we also offered to see if you could maybe help us with the in-kind stuff where you don't have to pay so much. You know, like we talked about getting some road base, also maybe painting some lines for us and stuff like that. Or you maybe flagging or something like that, just to help cover some of the expenses. That way you don't have to come up so much money. And we think we've got a lot of backers too that are going to help us.
Your Honor, I would just say, yeah, there's opportunity to continue to participate and partner on this. And Mr. Eggleston, I know, is very supportive of this process. And we do have crews and we have material that we may be able to help with. $2.5 million is a huge benefit to our community, but $250,000 to match is a significant amount of funds. Perhaps we can have further conversations with the county to see how much they're willing to contribute, how much the city's willing to contribute. As has been mentioned, I know that there are community groups that are willing to contribute. So as they continue down this road, I think we just continue to work with them.
Any other thoughts from the council? Are we supportive in that direction in terms of continuing to support? Yes?
Your Honor, do you need a motion to provide a letter or resolution?
We could do that motion with the resolution itself. I guess if we, I don't know, do you want a motion in terms of to provide a resolution?
Letter resolution.
You want a resolution or a letter?
I mean, a resolution is stronger.
I think so. Your Honor, I'll make the motion to provide a letter of a resolution of support.
Second.
A motion from Councilman Peranto, second from Councilman Bailey to provide a resolution in support of, and we'll have to get the language figured out if we can. Mr. Butterfield or Mr. Eggleston, if you can prepare that. And then we'll have that at a future meeting and we can vote on it then. Any discussion?
Your Honor, do we need to vote on it again, or if we just?
Yeah, we would need to with the actual language, and we'd have to have read it by title only or read the whole resolution, which maybe we wouldn't want to have Ms. Harris do, but.
We have time to do that though, right, with you guys?
Is that just like a minor detail, though, or is that like a whole new?
Well, they'll,
It's a minor detail, but you can add us to the list.
Do you guys have any information, or do you guys have any questions about Wyoming Pathways? I mean, they've been an awesome partner, and I'm sorry, I told Mike he's gonna have to speak.
I love presenting.
Mike, tell us,
Only if needed.
Mike, tell us what Wyoming Pathways is. How about that?
Mayor and council and staff, thanks for the time tonight. My name is Michael Kusick. I'm the Executive Director of Wyoming Pathways. I live in Lander. Our organization is currently based in Lander. We're 11 years old. We're mission-driven to do projects just like this. In fact, we've spent the last 11 years helping towns across Wyoming to become more safe for pedestrians. We like to say more bikeable, more walkable, more effective for people who choose that mode of transportation. And we've had a lot of success with it. We started in Jackson. And if you have been to Jackson, you realize their pathway system, which is around 100 miles of pathways. Citizens drive there from all over the region just to ride those pathways on their e-bikes or just to walk them. It's a tremendous amenity for that community. In those 11 years, we've had requests from 40 municipalities across Wyoming to have something similar. We have a survey on our website, and that's how many folks have reached out. Over 250 citizens have reached out for these amenities. A couple of years ago, we were funded by a very generous foundation to reach up to 20 of those new communities in the next 3 years, and we have funding to pay liaisons. Mr. Lehman is our liaison here in Lander, or in Riverton, who's been working on this for 30 years. Couldn't find a better person. And the whole point of this is to find resources and write grants and raise money to help bring these projects to fruition. And we've had a lot of success with that, and we would love to see this happen in Riverton. We have written 2 of these outdoor rec grants in the first round. Under the initial criteria, they were both going to be approved, is what we were told. And the criteria have been changing, so we're all waiting like everybody else. But we have we're very confident that we can be successful with this grant. And we have some information from the Office of Outdoor Rec and from some legislators and folks at the Budget Office that this is the kind of project folks are looking for. Something that takes an existing amenity that serves the community, the schools, serves neighborhoods, helps folks who are senior citizens and kids be more safe when they're out and about, and improve it. And this is right in the wheelhouse, in our opinion. So we feel really strongly about it. We feel like we can meet the match. We would love a letter and any support. As was mentioned, we're bringing essentially free money to municipalities across the state. We also build trails on public lands, and they feel the same way when we write grants for BLM or Forest Service locations. And that's what we're all about. So I'd stand for any questions.
is there anything in the grant that provides maintenance? Or, so, like,
It's a really important question.
I'm talking snow plowing and.
That's right.
stuff.
It's a really important question, and one we've been wrestling with, up to and including weed mitigation, whether that's county or city. I know that the group that's been organizing for years here has taken it upon themselves to write parks and rec grants and other types of grants to do that kind of repair and maintenance. If we go with concrete, we find that there's much less maintenance. Asphalt tends to need a lot of maintenance, but we would build that into the grant. Round 2 grants won't have a cap in terms of how much you can ask for. And so we would consider that. And how does that become a function of, let's say, for instance, is it going to be plowed or is it a 3-season pathway? Who's going to deal with the weed and pest? Will that be county, city, or a volunteer group? So we would work that out in the grant. It's a great question and a really important consideration. Once the amenities start to degrade, people stop using it as much, and then you just got more or less a problem on your hands to decide what to do with. And so we feel like these are really important steps to take now.
Any other questions? All right, well, we'll get a resolution
Thanks for your
together.
time.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Need a vote?
we'll need a,
Oh, yeah, we should vote on that. All in favor of having a resolution prepared that we'll consider at a future meeting, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed? If you can get that ready for us. Make it really good, Mr. Eggleston. Some of your best work.
A 2-signature required.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming and presenting. I'm not trying to tell you you have to leave. You're welcome to stay. We have so many fun things to talk about.
It's not even 11.
It's not even 11.
I'll give it time.
Okay. Next on the agenda, public hearing and consideration of restaurant liquor license El Vaquero Mexican Bar and Grill Corp. There's no S. Administrative Services Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor and council, before you tonight for consideration is a restaurant liquor license application submitted by El Vaquero Mexican Bar and Grill Corp. El Vaquero Mexican Bar and Grill will operate at 1116 North 6th Street East, formerly occupied by Wyoming Smokehouse. The applicant has submitted all of the necessary documentation and paid the required licensing fee. Pursuant to state statute, the liquor license cannot be issued until the license has been certified as complete. The applicant has applied for a food service permit and is awaiting the arrival of appliances, subject to final inspection by the Department of Agriculture. Proper notice to the public has been advertised. Therefore, the staff recommends conditional approval of the restaurant license issuance to El Vaquero Mexican Bar and Grill Corp. And then there are representatives of the business in the audience this evening, if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing open. Hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, other applicable laws. I'd ask individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium. Identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak?
Your Honor, seeing none, I would move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Bailey, second by Councilwoman Cox. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. I declare the public hearing closed. Chair would entertain a motion to conditionally approve the application for a restaurant liquor license for El Vaquero.
So moved.
Second.
Sounds good. Councilman Larson with the motion, Councilwoman Cox with the second. Discussion? Yes, sir.
I looked this up, and the one in Cody, their menu and their model, and it's a very good addition to Riverton. I realize we have 2 other restaurants with the same menu, but by golly, I never get tired of it.
I agree.
Yes.
I just wanted to know if you brought us some samples to eat. Make sure that we're all really hungry now.
And Mr. Piplica, was I correct that this is the same as Dos Sabos in Thermopolis? Is that correct? You want to come up and tell us a little bit, if you don't mind?
We have the best Mexican food.
So George Piplica, Home Source, Juan Guerrero, his brother and him, Luis, are, and they have Los Cabos in Thermopolis. So the old A&W restaurant. They also have interest in a restaurant in New York, and they have an interest in a restaurant in Seattle? And Seattle as well. So it's not their first one. We're excited to have them here. His partner, his brother, is in New Mexico or Mexico right now. So we're looking for mid-October, October 10th, hopefully. We just need a couple appliances, oven, a few things to get the state health permit approval. Mia has been wonderful. Those things have changed. I've done a lot of liquor license transfers. It's a new ballgame now. It's tied to the liquor license. There's a lot more in-depth application, a lot more questions, a lot more looking at it from the Liquor Commission, but Mia was wonderful in helping us walk through that process. So, yeah, we're excited to be here, correct? Yeah.
Plan
Not
is...
my restaurant, but...
Yeah, right.
But I always talk.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and it's one you want to eat at, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, and their intention is to be 7 days a week. The restaurant size was wonderful. It seats about 60 people. They think they can service it with 5 employees. That 2 cooks, basically a hostess, a couple waitresses. And they've definitely got the experience behind them, 20, 30 years of doing this, so...
Similar
Very
menu to
similar
Los
menu.
Cabos?
Yep, similar menu. So if you've eaten there, it'll be very similar. Maybe a little bit scaled down on size just for speed, so that works out. But it will be lunch and dinner, so. Okay.
Sounds great. I've eaten there.
Good.
It was good
Yeah,
food. I
we've been doing
enjoyed
it for
it.
times. That's how we got them to come. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming up and introducing yourself.
Getting drug up.
We're getting drug up, one or the other. Any other discussion?
I would just say our Mexican food in Riverton and this edition, I go all over and you can't find food like what we have. So, and I'm eating there too, so it's like, I love that.
There's definitely a need for more restaurant.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, especially 7 days a week.
Yes, yes.
Be good. All right. Well, we have motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Next up, amendment to contract for community services, Riverton Senior Center. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you're aware, the City of Riverton receives direct distribution monies from the state of Wyoming. These are over-the-cap mineral royalties. And a portion of these funds historically have been used to go towards community services. You as a council entertained several proposals as we went through the budget process. You allocated $275,000 of the direct distribution monies to go to community services, and you awarded a number of them through the budget, and that's listed in your packet. One of the entities that were selected for award was the Riverton Senior Center for $10,000. They were able to receive additional funds from another entity to fulfill their needs, and so they will not be using the $10,000 that was awarded to them. So what that means to you as a council is you now have a decision to make about how you want to utilize that now unallocated $10,000. The funds are accounted for in the budget, and they are in the Community Service Cost Center. And your options really are to potentially allocate those funds to another community service entity within that cost center. You can do that without doing a budget amendment. Or you could entertain a new community service entity to receive funds, or you could provide it to any other area of the city or community as you deem necessary that could go towards operations, capital improvements, community improvements. If that's the case, we would handle that and account for it via a budget amendment because it would not be spent within that community service contract cost center. All things that we can do. The funds have no restrictions on them in that they are direct distribution from the state of Wyoming, and therefore you have $10,000 to either decide tonight or decide at a later time how you'd like to allocate them. And with that, Your Honor, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, sir. Well, we could have a motion. We could talk about it a little bit before we decide on a motion. Do we have any thoughts?
I have some ideas, but I
You
would.
have some ideas.
Well, I was looking at some of the pickleball stuff, like there's a company called out of Wyoming that said they could resurface tennis courts. It's around $8,000. So we could maybe do at City Park, or maybe use some of it for the MMIP flags, or I don't know. I think it'd be nice to do something kind of for the community outside of all this other stuff for people to get excited about them.
That's a good point.
Especially with the tournaments that they're talking about hosting for the pickleball, with it growing every year. I think it'd be another thing we could offer Central Wyoming for participants.
I know the colleges, the couple of courts up there, Roger Milton was telling me they've done some there, so if we did some of those, we probably could host some pretty good tournaments here.
Well, and I know we were planning on, and tell me, Mr. Eggleston, some sort of a public meeting where we were going to discuss some about the future of the park and what to do with that space. Is that still on the agenda for?
Yes, sir, Your Honor and Council. We met, my staff and I met with Mary Axtell and her assistant today to kind of discuss the process of putting a community meeting together. We're focused very heavily on the master plan and the original thoughts that the group put together. We're getting some displays prepared right now, and as soon as we kind of finalize that, we'll probably have a meeting in the next couple of weeks we wanted to identify, you know, we want something that's going to be a big splash and not just some sort of Band-Aid approach. We want to look at it seriously and maybe secure some additional grant money to pursue a bigger project, one with bigger splash.
So we could, I mean, there's no reason that we have to let this money burn a hole in our pockets, so to speak. We could just hold off on any decisions, at least until after that, if that's
That would
where the
be
council wants to
Yeah.
consider that as a possibility, at least.
And, Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
the other thing, which is far less fun, but I know we ended up cutting back Eagles Hope considerably over what they had asked, and I know they are really struggling to keep that facility up and operating. Several of their other funding sources have dried up also, and so I think we need to look as a community and decide whether they're, you know, I think they obviously provide a good service and help a lot of people get back on their feet and in a positive way. So I think that'd be another one to consider putting some of that towards or whatever, so.
That's a good point. And I think when we had talked about this a little bit early on, that was some of what we had discussed was, depending on how things went with this, we could reallocate it to another entity. So I guess that's the point. We could have a motion tonight as to how we want to have it used. Or we could just hold off on any decisions for right now and see where things go with the, because I know there's a lot of things that people are wanting to do with that space at the park. There's been talk about having another skate park there, roller derby, which could be shared, as I understand it. They were talking about having it roller derby and pickleball. I don't know if you can do roller derby, pickleball, and skate park in the same space, but
Not at the same time, for sure.
probably not. Yeah.
Well, it just ups the challenge.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe if we could get more information on the tiles that they were talking about putting in, maybe that's less money than what the resurfacing would be, and they could be used for both.
Yeah, that's a thought, too.
I think it'd be a good idea to put it off till we have the public meeting, some input,
Absolutely.
see what the other funding sources are to help us do that
I agree.
project, and then just see where we need to allocate it.
And I think keeping in mind that if we can find other ways to fund some of that, that maybe we could return to the idea, as you said, of putting it into Eagles Hope. I agree, they could definitely use it. They just lost the CSBG grant that they were receiving funding through, and they've been doing a lot of work towards fundraising. And for people that are familiar with Eagles Hope, it's meant to be it's not just meant to be something where it's like a temporary place for people to stay, but they have a programming and everything that's a big part of what they do to try to get people so that they can transition, you know, go from either treatment to being able to get back into the community or whatever it is. So they provide a very important service. So
Did their grant just end, or why did they lose that?
it's a long story, but I will tell you that the Community Services Block Grant is overseen by FCAG, and FCAG for years has been talking about moving away from a model of just providing grant money to sub-grantees to actually having their own program that they would run that would be working towards helping people get independence and jobs, that kind of thing. So that's definitely a blow to Eagles Hope that they don't have that funding, because I think they were getting something in the realm of $50,000 at least in a year. So that's a difficult amount to recoup. So now hopefully this.
If the rec board could give us money for the parks, then we could give that to
I think waiting to see how things come together with the various community meetings and presentations, I think there's definitely some funding that could possibly be used or allocated for sure next year. I know that there's some projects in the wings at the rec board, but there is a possibility.
And I will say it is something that would definitely fit some of the rec board funds in terms of wanting to have something that's visible, something that's reusable as opposed to just one-time use things.
And also that affects a larger number of users or people.
And particularly,
Right. And we strive to service our youth as well, but also all citizens.
well, good. All right. So if I hear right, we're saying we're not going to do anything right now.
Wait,
We'll
Wait.
wait and see is the,
Money's not going to be burning anybody's hole.
gotcha. Sounds good to me.
And how, what do any of you think about helping maybe a little portion of it for flags? Is that something?
I think that'd be a worthwhile discussion. It was,
mean,
I
don't
think
know
they
what everyone
should
thinks.
bring us some kind of proposal on what they want to do.
yeah, wouldn't be bad. If we can hear a little bit more about that, then we can consider it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Bailey. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Wait and see. All right, that's the, so no motions in that regard. We'll move on to item 14, which was stricken. Consideration of ordinance number 23011, second reading, waste defecation. Chief of Police's report, please.
Mayor and council, this would be a second reading. The current City of Riverton ordinance covers the act of urinating in public, but does not clearly specify the act of defecation as a criminal offense. Urinating and defecating in public tends to frighten and offend people, and also creates a public health risk because of the spread of diseases and other health hazards stemming from human waste. Such concerns and the smell associated with public urination and defecation discourages people from patronizing establishments. The ordinance would include the act of defecating in public into the current urinating in public ordinance. The existing Riverton Municipal Code is 9.08.100, urinating in public, and the report outlines the addition of defecation to be included in this ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Would the Administrative Services Director please read ordinance 23011 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance 23-011, an ordinance amending Title IX, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare to revise Chapter 9.08, Offenses Against Public Peace and Decency, Section 9.08.100, urinating in public of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 23011 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Bailey, second by Councilwoman Cox. Discussion. I guess some of the commentary I've seen online, which is fun, just always enjoyable to read online commentary, was concerns about penalizing defecating in public if we don't have public restrooms available. I guess to what extent do we have public restrooms available in the community, Mr. Butterfield?
Your Honor, we do have public restrooms that are available in a number of our parks. For example, City Park, Ryan Park, Peter Park, JC Park, Sunset Park. There are also public restrooms available in the front entryway of City Hall. Those are only open during business hours and they close at 5. The park bathrooms are available through the summer, and some of them are closed in the winter, and that's due to the fact that some of them do not have heat and we have to turn the water off. And some that do have heat, we try and keep open, but we have had incidences where if a door is left open and it's 17 below overnight, it doesn't matter if it's a heated bathroom, we still have freezing pipes. So those are the locations of our public bathrooms, but I do want to caveat that during the winter time, often they're closed for public use. I would mention that a member of the council brought up an idea that we could potentially explore with portable restrooms being made available in different locations. Staff is looking into that and the cost and potential locations, but I guess to more succinctly answer your question, that's where the public bathrooms are.
Thank you.
So is there anything open at night?
Your Honor, that's a good question. I need to look into it because I do believe we close the bathrooms at night in the parks. So at night, I'm going to default and say no, but we'll look into that.
So I had a bunch of people ask me, can't we put porta potties? So I texted Kyle and said, can we have a few porta potties? But they have their own problems. I've looked it up. And if you want to do the Portland Loos, they're like $90,000. So those won't work either. But
Well, we could pay for 1/9 of that with the $10,000 that we were
But if we had something with everybody complaining about it all over in the alleys and different places, if it was, I mean, a lot of people won't use it, but maybe some of the people that don't have anywhere else to go might.
Right? Councilman Larson?
The problem seems to be running water. Water freezes. I know.
Shocking.
But there is a solution to this, and it's a pit enclosed, like up at Rock Hollow, which has a, you have to suck it out in the wintertime, or you look at any of the campsites, and all of those would be available. We could have, and yet I don't know what the capital cost would be, but it would be cheaper than renting a porta potty. Porta potties are about $100 a day.
Well, and I think there's a lot of different ways. So I often go back to what's the problem we're trying to solve, and the problem we're trying to solve is people defecating on private and public property. And apparently, as I understand it, and talking to local business owners, it's taken off. I find it hard to believe, but I mean, that's where we are. So if we have other ways to address that problem, you know, whether it's more of a latrine sort of method, or whether it's porta potties, or changing the way that we function with the public restrooms, from what I'm hearing from Mr. Butterfield, though, is we already have public restrooms in City Park, which is probably not that far away from most of the areas that are being affected. So it doesn't sound like it's an access issue as much. And
I think it's happening at night a lot.
Well, true, and that's a good point, too. That's actually a very good point.
Your Honor, the challenge always becomes, how are we going to pay for all this? I mean, we've had multiple, we were going to put a little park and public restrooms over where Daisy Cleaners used to be on Main and Third, I think it is, or Fifth, And it just comes down to how much money we're going to spend and who's going to clean them. And, I mean, again, you can't leave them open at night.
And maintain them.
Camp, and, yeah, you got to maintain them. So I guess, to me, it's something we need to think about in the future moving forward, but I think it doesn't really have any relevance on this ordinance that we're talking about. But it's something we could be thinking about. And again, maybe if we've got some, pathway money, maybe they can include putting in some, outhouse-style restrooms that would be maybe less costly than running water ones and all that kind of stuff. But,
And those pathways would be a good place for that.
Maybe that's something we could work into that grant. But I think,
Your Honor, it's kind of interesting, but I had a conversation today with someone who actually works up at our Riverton Library. They have public bathrooms in the front there. And their biggest complaint was that people really abuse them. And you have lots of issues, but mainly the cleanliness. I mean, we're talking about the spread of disease and all these issues. Well, I don't know how the city parks go about dealing with that, but it's a real mess. And so you might have a clean for a day, somebody goes in, makes a mess, and makes it wholly unhealthy for anybody else to use it. So it's a bigger problem than just having a porta potty there. I mean, just even at regular events, having porta potties just that get used get unsanitary in a hurry. So it's, I think, addressing the problem is more than just putting porta potties out there or a facility. It's a bigger deal.
What do we have, 9 bathrooms now, the parks people clean?
Take some work. Well, and I guess, and I think people, somebody was saying something about legislating the call of nature. It already is illegal to urinate in public. And it is illegal also per se statute to flash people in public or to expose your genitalia. But that's for sexual gratification. That's different than what we're talking about here. This is for relief. So I mean, we do have laws about that, but when it comes down to it, we don't have anything that really reflects this. And it was interesting. I was talking with one of our officers, and his comment was, well, I guess if nothing else, I can charge them with littering. And I was like, that really doesn't make a lot of sense when we have a urinating in public ordinance to charge somebody who's defecating in public with littering.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting this is something that necessarily would get charged a lot, but I do think having it available as another tool makes sense, rather than forcing our officers to consider charging people with littering.
Yeah, it's a little greater than littering.
Question, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Can we define public? Because if it's an alley, is that public?
Well, the way it has it is it says upon
Private
a public
property.
street or any portion of the right-of-way, or upon private property, or in any of the parks or other public places other than property designated for that purpose. So I think it's... all right, any other discussion? I haven't been trying to...
Call for the question.
Right.
We'll belabor this.
Don't belabor this. All right. All in favor of passage of ordinance number 23011 on second reading, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right. Well, the last thing on the agenda would be an executive session. I would entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of personnel pursuant to Wyoming Statute 164405A2 and/or Wyoming Statute 164405A10.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Larson with the motion, Councilman Peranto with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We stand convened into executive session at 8:52. And we'll just be in executive session with the council only to start with.
Can we have 3 minutes to get there?
regular session at 10:12 PM. We don't have any motions, I think.
Your Honor, I do have a motion. I'd like to make the motion to adjourn for the evening.
Second.
Third.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I vote aye too. We are adjourned at 10:12 PM.
Hey, you gave me one job.